will begin either lying or seated, so you can choose. I don't mind which position you're attempting, as long as that position is actually comfortable for you. So as you find your position, also, it is not essential for this practice, but something like a block could be handy to have, mainly for seated postures, but sometimes they are useful throughout the rest of the practice as well. I've got a strap as well lying here. There is potentially postures in there that you could, instead of, for example, keeping a knee bend, extend the leg if you had a strap. Straps aren't part of usual household items, nor are blocks, so please find anything, a shawl or whatever you decide on. So once you've got everything around you, just making sure you become comfortable. Allow for a moment to let any of these inquiries into what can I use to support my practice, then just fall away, knowing that really we all have everything within us. And even when it comes to props in the practice, we can always be a little bit more creative when we're listening inwards and knowing how to adapt things so they appear to be safe. If you feel it is appropriate, please close the eyes. If not, steady your gaze. And I recommend, even with the eyes closed, to steady the gaze, to find a drishti, a focal point. When our gaze is steady, oftentimes our mind has the ability to just focus on this one point as well and becomes a bit stiller. You might notice what is occurring within the physical body, your mind, your emotional body at this moment. And allowing yourself to either stay with a slightly deeper breath, if that works for you, or you could tap into full yogi or jai breathing. The poem that I've chosen for this week is called Layla. Put aside your clever schemes. Oh lover, be mindless, become mad. Dive into the heart of the flame. Become fearless, be like a moth. Turn away from the self and tear down the house. Then come and dwell in the house of love. Be a lover, live with lovers. Clean your chest from all hostility. Wash it 7 times. Then fill it with the wine of love. Be a chalice for love. Be a chalice. You must be all love to be worthy of the beloved. When going to the gathering of drunks, be a drunk. Become a drunk. Your thought takes a course, dragging you into its wake. Move beyond thought. Let your heart lead. Be the leader. When the grace of love is revealed, be a mirror to reflect it. When the beloved's hair is loosened, brush it like a comb. Be a comb. By Rumi. Maybe considering taking these inquiries that lie within this poem into the practice, as you could choose to observe your thinking into all the different directions that it might wander to. It doesn't matter if you're lying down or if you are seated. I invite you to take a deeper breath and maybe reach your arms up over the head. If you like, you can hook the fingers together or cross your thumbs, and maybe sliding a little bit into a side bend. Then center yourself and maybe sliding a bit to the other side. As you release your arms again and bring them by your sides, add other movements that might take you from there into a standing position. But please don't rush, there's time to do so. I am also encouraging you to take off your socks if you're still wearing any. So you can now feel the ground underneath your feet. This practice is usually started with a breathing practice. I will skip this practice today because I think there might be more than just one person that feels there's the neck a little bit sore from all of this sitting and interesting postures that we're attempting at the moment. So as I might skip this particular breathing practice, I invite you to have a full yogi, belly, ribs to collarbones breath, or even adding the ujjayi technique to it. Standing comfortably on both of your feet and aligning them so that the pelvis is straight facing forward and the toes are as well. As we take a breath in, let's reach the arms out and up, full breath in. Maybe pause at the end of this inhalation. And then as you're breathing out, lowering the arms and maybe keeping that very same pace that you had for your in-breath. Inhaling, reaching up. Pausing again, either looking up or forward. And breathing out to release the arms. Now keep this pace of breathing as you're inhaling, reaching the arms up. You might come to Charlie's Angels Mudra now while you're holding your breath. And as you're breathing out, bending a little bit to the right, keeping the same pace of breathing. Inhale as you center, pause with the breath inside. And breathing out to move to the other side. As this is your own breathing pattern, keep it as you're moving twice more in each direction, creating potentially that bit of extra space in the side of the body, that bit of extra space within your lungs as you might pause for that brief hold of your breath inside. I will meet you again while bending over to the right side and maybe just pausing there all together, keeping your shoulders back. And once you're coming to that hold, you might also guide the hip outwards, breathing deeply or naturally, absolutely up to you. Then come back to center and change sides as you're bending to the left. Same options here. Pushing the hip out towards the opposite side while keeping your shoulder back. Center yourself now, and then long out breaths to release the arms. And you might give yourself a little shrug around the shoulders, move them. So we're playing around with all of this steadiness, and the steadiness might help us to move through these more darker thoughts that we might have, or our challenges. So if you want to support your back in this standing back bend, please place your hands into the lower back, fingers pointing downwards. If you want to go full blast, you will take another breath in to lift the arms. You might find the different interlace for Charlie's Angels Mudra. And wherever you are with the next inhalation, then begin to lift your heart space. You can keep your chin tucked in if your neck is sore, wherever your hands might be, or if the neck is happy, guide the chin up and then carefully the head backwards. As you hold that maybe for another couple of breaths, think about the heart lifting upwards towards the light. Returning into standing, and allow yourself that slow out breath to release the arms wherever they were. Giving yourself another shrug. For our standing forward bend, you might find the block useful, not essential though. Let's breathe into our usual count. Pause once more at the end of the inhalation. Bending your knees and then starting to dive the body forward. As you release your fingertips down onto your support, you might want to walk out a little bit through the legs, same as we do in a downward facing dog, like a paddling out of the legs. And with that, preparing ourselves for a potentially deeper forward fold. Please find your own way, as it might not be suitable to bring the head down low for a longer time. You could keep the head lifted. If it suits though, please lower the head and bring your gaze between your knees or legs, wherever you can reach. To deepen, can you take your arms and wrap them around your calves? And some of you might be able, and knees could well and truly be bent, to slide your fingers underneath the heels. Your gaze remains backwards, and not only does that deepen or intensify the forward fold, but it also shifts the weight forward within the feet, and I encourage you all to do so. Weight forward towards the toes while keeping your heels grounded on fingers or floor. Stay here, 2 more breaths. Then release your hands, engage your core, and while you're breathing out, begin to slowly curl up. Moving into standing and maybe giving the shoulders another shrug. Now our next posture is the chair. As you breathe in, lifting your arms either all the way up around the ears or in front. And sorry, and lower down into chair pose. That's just a mild hay fever, don't worry. Let the shoulders relax, and make sure that the upper back and the area around the neck remains at ease. And for me, that means the palms facing upwards and elbows lightly soft. While maintaining this shape, as you lower potentially that little bit more, engage into the lower abdomen to support your lower back. Stay there, breathing in and breathing out. On the next inhalation, push down into the feet, reach up. And on the exhalation, soften. I will encourage you into one more chair pose round. If you found this one was perfect for you, please repeat. Otherwise, I'll bring in an extra challenge. Let's lift the arms to your liking, breathing in. Breathing out to lower into your chair. And either holding here or lifting the heels off the ground. Now, if you can, lift the heels as high as is possible. Holding here. You can lower down as much as you like if your balance allows you to. Stay again for one more breath only. Before releasing down the heels. And then breathing in to extend the body. And the breath out to release that. We begin with a series of balances. Beginning the first one in an eagle pose, the most similar to the chair pose. Let's take a breath and lift the arms out and the right knee up. And then crossing the leg over as you're exhaling and wrapping your right arm underneath the left to embrace the shoulders or to bring the hands together. Your right big toe could rest on the floor, or if you want the full balance, maybe squeezing the foot against the leg and the leg against the foot. Let your shoulders be relaxed, but the elbows lightly forward. So you're feeling that extension in the back. Nice and steady gaze. And with the next in-breath, lifting, arms back out, knee back up, and then landing down. Feel free to bring any movement in between that you might find necessary, but resist moving out of habit. Just noticing what is actually going on. Let's lift the arms again, bend the knees, and the left knee comes up with it, bringing the left foot across and the left arm underneath, again for embrace or the big position. Check out where the left big toe needs to be. It could be different to the other side. On the floor, or that squeeze of leg and foot against each other, keeping the shoulders low, the elbows a little bit lifted, your gaze quite steady. Noticing your breathing. Maintaining this idea of steadiness of gaze and calming or slowing of the mind. Particularly helpful in balances. Let's lift the arms, the knee, and release that down into standing. And maybe moving a little bit around if you choose to. Our next posture is the dancer, and for that you may or may not like to use your strap. So the dancer is where we're taking a hold of the foot, and if the foot is out of reach but you've got something like a strap, you might wrap that around your ankle or foot. So we will take the right hand and open it out towards the side as if we had something to offer. We all have something to offer, don't we? And then lifting the right foot off the floor and taking a hold of the inner edge of the foot. So I teach this one different to my regular dancer. Here we really want the shoulder to open out towards the side. Your option to lift through the other arm, maybe touching index and thumbs together for Jhana Mudra, and then pushing back the foot into the strap or the hand. The body quite naturally moves forward, but don't let it lower. Keep the front body open, the heart open, the throat open, and also your gaze. To release, land your foot and release the arms. And see if you can find that calmness when we're releasing the balances, resisting that urge of, I've been wobbling all around, I really want to stand. Just observing, there's all thoughts that might help you in that understanding. Let's open the left hand out to the side for more offerings. Taking a lift of the left foot and a hold of the inner edge of it. Have your knees quite close. Then maybe lifting the right arm, index and thumbs could be touching. And as you bring the foot back into the hand, the knee lifts behind and the whole front of the body stays wide open. Steady gaze point, keep bringing the foot back into the hand, noticing that opening that we're creating here within the balance. And release it with grace or fun. So for our next balance, it's like a warrior 3. If you prefer your hands in front of the heart space, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to extend the arms. If you do want to extend the arms, let's take a deep breath and reach them up, finding Charlie's Angel's Mudra over the head. Let's poke the right big toe behind and take a deep breath. And as you're breathing out, can you try and tilt forward? Lifting the foot behind, and in an ideal world or body, your whole body will be long, other than the foot grounding you to the floor. So you might get a sense of reaching forward into the fingers and back towards the big toe. Then let's lower the foot and release the arms wherever they might have been. Now let's try the other side. Hands into your preferred position. If you're choosing the interlace of the fingers, do the other way around, poking your left big toe behind. Take a deep breath. And as you're breathing out, just leaning forward. And as I said, there's an ideal body where that will be one straight line from the fingers right into the toes. But are we in ideal bodies? We might look different. Just aim for this length while you're balancing. And let's land that again. Let's land the foot and release your arms. I will ask you now to step your feet out wide. Please do stand on a sticky mat. Maybe turn yourself sideways as we're going into a forward fold. So the outer edges of the feet will be parallel in this stance. Let's take a breath and lift the arms out to the sides. Bend your knees, and as you're breathing out, start folding forward. Again, go to where you need to be. Hands can rest on the outside of the legs. You could slide your fingers under the outer edges of the feet, or even rest the hands in the center if you prefer that. Now, while you're in this forward bend, there's also 2 options. My preference, however, is to look between the legs. If your blood pressure or pressure in the head tolerates that, I highly recommend it, because that gives release and length into the neck. Whereas the other option would be to look down onto the floor. If you need that for stability, it's definitely yours. Allowing one more breath in your forward bend. And then release. Release your fingertips to the floor and come to a half lift, breathing in. I will invite you now to turn your right toes towards the short end of the mat and walk your hands to the inside of the right foot. Bending the right knee so it's safely over the ankle joint and in line with the toes. The other foot can turn out a bit further as well. I mean the heel of your left foot. While you're breathing in, we're rising up into side angle pose. So either you're keeping your right arm extended and pointing towards the floor, or you're placing it down on top of the thigh as a measure of support. The other arm might be extended towards the ceiling, And if your neck is happy with that, tuck the chin in slightly, looking up. Otherwise, bring your gaze down, feeling really grounded through the outer edge of your left foot. To release this pose, bend your knee, bring your hands back down, turn your toes back forward, and we will approach that to the other side. As you turn the left foot to the short end of the mat, walk the hands to the inside of that foot, and maybe turn your right heel a bit out in the other direction. Left knee is bent over your ankle, in line with the toes. And as the next in-breath comes, unfold this into side angle pose. So fingertips either pointing down or forearm resting on the thigh. Arm might be extended towards the ceiling, and it's up to you if you want to tuck the chin in and actually look upwards, or if you prefer your gaze steady but elsewhere. Grounding down to the outer edge of the right foot this time. So feeling that extension through the top side of the body. Now let's release the arms. But this time, if you can, place them down either side of your left foot. Take your right foot and step it a little bit in and out to the side. So we've got about hip distance between the feet and 1 meter between them. Hands might come up onto shins or thighs. Let's lengthen the spine, breathing in, finding your stance here and the balance within the pelvis. And when you're breathing out, let's fold. Taking your nose again towards the knee if that feels right. You can even tuck the chin in a little bit and lengthen a bit further through the back of the neck. Keep your balance, your shoulders lightly lifted, and hands can rest anywhere on the leg, on a block, or either side of your left foot. Stay for one more breath. Before you're bending both knees, walk the hands all the way across. Now we're shuffling the feet around. We want to achieve the same stance on the other side. So once more, hip distance between the feet and maybe roughly 1 meter apart. Let your hands walk up your leg to shins or thighs and aim for the balance within the pelvis. Take a breath in. And when breathing out, folding forward. Now, ideally, your legs are long as you choose your support underneath the hands, the legs, the block, or the floor. And your gaze is down towards the knee if that works for you. And if you want further extension, a light chin tuck in towards the chest so that it's more the forehead that is aiming for the knee. Stay here, breathe. Find the imperfection of the pose as it is for you. Maybe even getting a sense of surrendering to it. As you bring a bend into both of your knees again to release, walk the hands in between the feet. Turn your feet so they're facing in the same direction. Keep your knees soft, engage your lower belly, and wait for an out-breath to curl up. Take your time. We've been down there, moving from there for a bit. So once you rise, get your feet a little bit closer, finding your tall stance again. Now we're moving into one more balance, and I will combine this balance. So there might be two within it. Hugging your right knee in towards the chest. Your choice is to stay right here for a bit, or to extend the leg out. Finding your tall stance, you might want to fold forward. Then lifting the body as you bend your knee. Open your knee out to the side. And here's an option for a tree pose. So placing your foot anywhere against the inside of your leg but the knee. So keeping your knee free of your foot. And once you've found your position, you might touch your hands together. Engaging strongly into the standing leg. And then there could be variations of the tree, finding different arm positions that might suit, or you could keep it simple with the hands at the heart. Let's release the arms, the foot, and potentially moving. Let's try the other side. Hugging your left knee into the chest. Keeping a tall stance, the pelvis in balance. And if you like to extend the leg, you could hold underneath or even take the foot, extend the leg forwards. If this is your choice, or even if it isn't, you might play with leaning forward. As we rise again, bending the knee, choosing the position for your foot in preparation for tree pose. Again, please avoid to put the foot against your knee. Hands can either come to touch, or you can find your crown or branches. Standing firmly, tall and strong on the leg. Steady gaze again. Noticing your challenges or the steadiness that might have come. Then release your arms and then your foot. Move around a little. And if your space is quite cool, you might put on a jumper or even a blanket for a moment over you. I will ask you to lie down before we come to some floor work. So let's release the body into a short Shavasana. Letting the shoulders relax, the legs relax, and if they are on a support, that's perfectly fine, or on the floor with the feet and the knees bent. If you're feeling your neck feels quite tight, before you come into stillness, keep the head down, but maybe roll the head just to one side and to the other. And you might even do that a couple of times before you embark on the stillness. Eye gaze is steady with eyes open or closed. As you allow yourself to remain there, noticing how the mind is reacting now might be different to the beginning of the practice. Noticing your ability or lack of it to slow down and be still. Now hugging your right knee into the chest. Give it a bit of a squeeze. Then flex through the right foot. If you need to step the foot down, that's fine. Otherwise, release it and slowly push the foot out just above the ground. If you want to work with strength, of course, the belly muscles are on. Then release the leg. hugging your left knee into the chest. And you might observe now that there could be a difference between your right and left side. Flexing now your left foot, arms might support by the side, either step the foot down or push the foot out, and that might be just above the ground, to then release the leg down towards the floor. Bringing now, and however many steps this might require, both knees in towards the chest. Give them both a hug. Relax your shoulders down and just keep them there. Notice that the head has a tendency here to fall back, and explore if you can adjust that. Rocking now a little bit from side to side. And I invite you to roll all the way over from here onto the front of your body. Have your legs extended, the tops of the feet on the ground, and bring your hands down by the sides of your body. Palms down, elbows sticking upwards. Engage down into the tops of the feet, lifting the knees. And as you take a breath in, lifting the head and the chest, keeping the shoulders quite low. Allow yourself to hold here. Breathe. If this is better for you, you can lift the hands off the ground. It's a tad bit stronger, but might work quite nicely. Then release your arms by your sides and place your favorite ear onto the floor. As you might touch your big toes together, let your heels roll out. Soften the body. If it needs movement, that's fine too. Now let's center the head again. Separate the feet once more. And if you like, you can slide your hands, palms facing onto the mat underneath the body. If that's not yours, you can keep them out, but still the palms down might be nice. Chin is resting on the mat. And while you're breathing in, lifting the right leg. Keep your hips on the ground though, point out through the toes. Breath out to release that. Left side, breathe in, lift the left leg again, keep your hips grounded, point out through the toes while you're holding. And release that. Good enough. Repeat once more to each side, otherwise lift both legs. Same here, of course, the hips are on the ground, we're pointing out through the toes. Upper body might feel a bit lighter, but is still grounded onto the mat. And then release that. Wiggle your pelvis a bit, get your arms back out into a more comfortable position. Turn the head to your second favorite side and rest. Taking a few breaths, just being there. For our last back bend, I give you a choice to either extend your arms out to the sides to roughly shoulder height, palms on the floor and legs as close together as they can be, or you can choose a full bow pose where you would bend your knees and take a hold of your feet. If you choose the second, please make sure your knees stay maximum hip distance apart. Let's enter the back bend with an in-breath. Lifting up. If your arms out wide, stretch the thumbs up towards the ceiling, opening a bit more into the shoulders. Reach down into the toes. If your legs drift apart, no problem. Just don't let them come too far. Stay here in your back bend. If possible, 2 more breaths. And once you release, I invite you to move back towards a child's pose as your counter pose, but please take your time, especially if you were in bow pose. Sitting back. If you like, you can have your elbows bent, but if you prefer, your arms will be outstretched. The forehead can either rest on a support or on the floor. Stay there for another 2 breaths. After which you will slide your hands back next to your knees and lift yourself up off your heels and the torso rising in preparation for a camel pose. For your camel, you can have your feet flat or your toes tucked under, your choice. The knees roughly about hip distance apart. Now we'll guide you in from the gentler variation and then extend you if you prefer. So hands flat into the lower back, fingers pointing down. Allowing the buttocks muscles to engage. And as you take a breath in, lifting through the sternum. Chin can stay tucked in while you're squeezing your shoulder blades and elbows back, or if your neck is okay with that, lift the chin and carefully, slowly guiding the head back. We still keep the glutes engaged, we're still lifting through the heart, and if all of this is fine, you can reach with your hands or fingers down towards your heels. I invite you to explore this deep opening of the front of the body for 2 more breaths. And then when we're releasing it, do so slowly. Make your way down onto your heels. For a rabbit pose, if that suits, take a hold of the heels. Alternatively, place the hands down flat by your sides. Tuck your chin in, bring the head to the ground. If this is deep enough, stay here. You want to go further, lift your hips off your heels and come to the very crown of the head. The bonus of holding onto the heels is the length that comes into arms, back, and neck. Holding your head low. Again, just 2 more breaths. And then releasing back towards the heels into a supported child's pose, maybe on a block or stacked fists. Allowing now to return back to full yogic or deep breathing. Ujjayi is welcome as well. Before you might place your hands down and support yourself rising up to sit, or you might swing your legs out in front. Moving into Jana Shirshasana or head to knee pose. Suggestion to bend the right knee and let it fall out to the side to place the foot to the inside of your leg. I'm on purpose saying the inside of the leg because it's not suitable for everyone to bring the foot out this high. Turn yourself or walk out the sit bone so you're turning towards your extended leg. Extended leg could mean that the knee is a little bit bent if that works for you. You could also sit up on a block or a rolled up mat, making your choice. We will breathe in deeply, lifting the arms up. You can keep your gaze in neutral if you like. And as you're breathing out, fold forward. Release the hands to wherever they might be able to go. Then take a wave and lengthen your spine forward. And then use another exhalation as you lower. Now, the knee can be bent all the way through this pose, or you could aim to lengthen the leg a little bit more. Your aim is not your foot, Your aim is to keep the shoulders in their sockets and create a deeper forward fold, whatever that might mean for you. If you feel you're in it quite deep, you might bend your elbows a little and bring the forehead back down towards the knee. So in that case, you will begin to round and stretch further into your back line. From here, let's bring the hands back. You could lift up with one breath or walk them back, whichever suits you better. Let's guide the right knee up and either place it down to the side and a bit away from the extended leg or step it over for a twist. You can keep your other leg long or you can bend the foot and place it to the side of the hip. Important here that you stay seated on your sit bones. As you breathe in, just use the knee in front to lift through your spine. And as you're breathing out, let's bring the right hand behind and enter into a twist. It's up to you now to give your knee a hug or to go even deeper and bring your arm to the outside of your knee. Absolutely fine. I prefer my shoulders at ease, but you could also engage into a deeper bind. If your eye gaze isn't steady yet, please bring it there or close your eyes. Don't neglect your breathing, very important to tap back in. And as you release, turning the head forward and then unraveling arms and legs. We'll change sides, so bring your left knee up, let it fall open and find where to place the foot on the inside of the right leg. Walk out through the sit bones so you're able to face the extended leg and choose whether to keep it straight or bend the knee. We've got this tall seat now, so let's breathe in and lift and lengthen even more. And when you're breathing out, you will soften over your leg. Once you've landed your hands somewhere, breathe in and stretch the spine forward. And then begin to deepen this forward fold with your breath. Same here, we're not reaching for the foot, only hold on if it's in comfortable reach and the shoulders can be relaxed. You could leave your chin tucked in and move your forehead down towards the knee. These are all options to consider, and this consideration could end up differently on the second side. So don't make yourself do something just because it was like that on the other side. Walking or lifting back up. Bringing your left knee up and either stepping the foot down a little bit away from the extended leg or across the extended leg. And these are all final twisting postures. If you want to take it deeper, you can place the foot on the outside of the hip, making sure that you're still balanced in your seat. Take a hold of your knee and lift yourself up tall. That's for your in-breath. And as you're breathing out, left hand fingertips come behind as you begin to twist. Then choose to maybe deepen and wrap your arm around your knee or bring it even to the outside or into a bind. Again, please evaluate this as if you hadn't done the other side before. Maybe come into a different variation. Eye gaze steady, eyes closed, your options. And returning awareness to the breath within the twist. Let's unwind the head, then arms and legs, and you might give them a little bit of a shake. And before we're going into a short breathing practice, let's pull the knees up in towards the chest. Either bring a strap around your feet or hold onto them, pistol grip or the outer edge of the feet. Let's pull on them and lengthen through the spine. That's your in-breath. And as you're breathing out, keep your belly glued to the thighs and slide the heels out. A little or a lot. Your gaze here is slightly forward and opening towards the toes. Again, there's no pull on the shoulders. The shoulders are relaxed. There might be a slight pull on the feet and on the arms though. Staying with your straightforward bend. 3 more breaths and make the most out of the out breath. You can choose to lift up with a straight spine, slide or walk your hands back up. I will ask you either to cross the legs here or to come into a Japanese sit and come onto the heels or to sit on a block. Sit yourself up nice and tall. We'll only have a few rounds of Kapalabhati. Now, Kapalabhati, I've learned, is not really a breathing practice, although it appears to be one. It's more of a kriya, a cleansing technique. If this makes you feel slightly even nauseous or dizzy, please stop it and come back to full deep belly breathing. As it is still early in the morning, it might be nice just to lift your energy. So let's see how you go with it. We're breathing through the nose. The breath is sniffed out of the nose, and at the same time, we're drawing the lower belly in. You can do so slowly if you're only beginning this practice, or you can do so quite fast if you're experienced in it, or you can speed it up if it feels right. Please feel free at any stage to take another deep breath in and out to restart. Let's begin with that, breathing in and out. So pulling the lower belly in as you're sniffing the breath out. You can keep it as slow as you like. Or take it quite fast. But make sure that it's the lower belly that is moving in and out rather than your chest. Stay with it just for a bit more. Then let's take one deep breath in and one slow deep breath out, and stay and observe. If you like, you can keep your eyes closed, making your way into Shavasana pose. And this is our final resting position, so you might as well indulge in all of the comfort that you can find. Meaning you can cushion yourself up, pull a blanket over your top, and it could be quite interesting after this uplifting breathing practice, if you're engaged in it, to explore that it might take a fair bit longer for your body to actually find this stillness. But it might be more interesting for your mind as there's so much to notice while the body is still aiming to slow down. Inviting yourself into this space, into this most important part of your practice, where not only you are learning about yourself in observation, but where there's integration happening. As I said at the beginning of the practice, please feel free to return to your own safe space, the space within you, or keeping yourself with the breath. Back to Rumi's poem, Otherwise. A more deeper explanation. You are moving through a period of not knowing, of life in the great void or womb of the Divine Mother. It is in this place the seeds can crack open and take root. It cannot happen in the light, where all is seen and recognized. It must happen under the cover of darkness, where only trust can assure one of success. This is the way of nature, the way of life, and it must be honored. This ancient wisdom, it guides you, not to fear the darkness, but to enter into it willingly. It is not for you to become lost, but to find your way. This wisdom is saying that in the darkness, there's the path. Do not turn away from it, let it be. Be with the lack of knowing. When people ask of you so many questions and demand sensible answers to support their notion of reality, do not bow to such unworthiness and fear. Know that their minds may be fearful for your safety and their own, lest your divine madness be contagious, but that their fear is nothing to you, nothing at all. It's not even anything to them, but they just don't know that yet. Under the sacred black cloak of night, the Divine Mother, the Goddess, she who transfigures from darkness into the light, has invited you into her chamber. In that place you shall experience annihilation, but only that of which is untrue, that of which you hold back, that dampens your spirit, or prevents you from bursting into full aliveness. For that which is true is already seated deep in your womb and is preparing to be born, strong and with good, powerful legs. So when it is time, it will leap like a wild creature, all instinct and intuition, into the morning light. For this moment, however, there's darkness, and that is essential for the appearance, so imminent, beloved, of the light on its way. This wisdom brings you guidance. If you find yourself to be sad, to be grieving, whether you know for what or not, or even depressed or struggling, feeling as though you are being pulled down, don't fear. Bear witness instead. Allow what is taking place to take place. Allow what is happening to happen. You shall find a joy in allowing the interplay of darkness and the light to take place according to a greater unfolding rhythm of your own divine growth process. So if you are feeling as if you are in a rather darker place at the moment, with the next few breaths, invite a glimpse of the light. Each breath brings in nourishment, and with that growth. Each out breath bears an opportunity to release something that is no longer needed. As you engage in these deeper breathings, you might bring in some movement or stretching. Before returning the body into a seated position. Once you have come to sit, there's a choice of placing the hands together in Anjali Mudra in front of the chest, and you might touch your thumbs lightly to the sternum. We also know so much deep within, and this poem helps us to understand, to learn, and to trust. To lightly bow the head towards ourselves, our inner wisdom, but also to extend to each other. Namaste.